You wake up, grab your phone, and before you're fully awake, you've already made 3 financial decisions. You tap snooze instead of getting up early to cook breakfast. You order coffee instead of making it home. You tell yourself, I'll deal with my finances later when things calm down. And if you're being honest, that feels normal. That feels like life. And you're probably thinking, that's literally me. Here's the thing, most people think their financial future will be decided by one big moment. A high-paying job, a lucky investment, a sudden breakthrough. But that's not how it actually works. I spend way too much time thinking about how your first 1,000 financial choices shape the next 30 years. If you're someone who is stuck or stagnant about personal finance, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because what quietly determines your future isn't one massive decision. It's the first 1,000 small ones you barely notice. Look, let me challenge a common assumption right away. Most people believe their income is the main driver of their financial life, that if they could just earn more, everything would fall into place. But here's what most people don't realize. Your income matters far less than how you behave with money before you ever feel rich. According to data from the Federal Reserve, the median American earning a solid middle-class income still struggles to cover a $400 emergency. That's not because they're lazy. It's because of patterns, habits, repeated choices. And this is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about those first 1,000 financial decisions. A financial choice doesn't feel important in the moment. It's small, it's quiet, it's boring. Should I save $50 or spend it? Should I invest now or wait? Should I upgrade my lifestyle or keep it simple? Should I learn this skill or scroll for another hour? One decision doesn't matter much, but 1,000 of them, that's your identity. Psychologists call this path dependence. Early decisions shape the options you'll even have later. Once you're on a path, it becomes easier to stay on it and harder to leave it. Money works the same way. Now you might be thinking, okay, but my choices are limited. I don't earn that much. I'm just surviving. I get that. But survival decisions become default decisions if you're not careful. Let's do some simple math. Imagine 2 people. Both earn the same income. Let's say $55,000 a year. Nothing crazy. Person A saves $100 a month. Person B saves nothing. $100 doesn't feel life-changing. It barely feels noticeable. But $100 a month invested at a modest 7% return becomes about $121,000 in 30 years. That's not lottery money, but it's freedom money. That's options. That's breathing room. That's leverage. Now multiply that by dozens of small decisions. Saving, investing, learning, avoiding bad debt, delaying lifestyle upgrades. The gap isn't created by income. It's created by repetition. Here's where psychology kicks in. Your brain is wired for short-term rewards. Dopamine hits now feel more real than future security later. That's why spending feels easier than saving, and why comfort feels safer than growth. Behavioral economists call this present bias. We overvalue today and undervalue tomorrow. That's why people say things like, I'll start investing when I make more, or I'll get serious later. But later never comes if your identity is built on delay. Here's what most people don't realize. The first 1,000 decisions don't just shape your bank account. They shape how you see yourself. When you save consistently, even small amounts, you start to see yourself as someone who plans. When you invest regularly, you start to see yourself as someone who thinks long-term. When you track your spending, you become someone who pays attention. And once your identity shifts, better decisions become easier. This is why 2 people with the same income can end up in completely different financial realities. Let me tell you a quick story. I once spoke to someone who never earned more than an average salary. No 6 figures. No startup exits. No crypto miracle. But every month, without fail, he invested before spending. Not after, before. Over 25 years, that single rule, invest first, turned into a portfolio larger than people who earned twice as much but waited for the right time. That wasn't discipline. That was automation and identity. Now, Let's talk about the number 1,000. Why 1,000 decisions? Because over 30 years, that's conservative. You probably make several financial choices every single day. But the first 1,000 are the most powerful because they happen when your habits are forming. Think about ages 20 to 35. That's when most people lock in their lifestyle expectations, their spending norms, their debt tolerance. If your first 1,000 decisions are built around comfort, convenience, and comparison, the next 30 years get expensive. But if those early decisions are built around simplicity, growth, and intentionality, wealth becomes a byproduct. Now, you might be thinking, so what do I actually do with this? Good question. Here are 3 practical shifts you can make starting now. First, reduce the number of decisions you have to make. Automate savings and investing. When money moves automatically, willpower becomes irrelevant. The less you rely on motivation, the more consistent you become. Second, design your environment. If your phone makes spending easy but investing hard, guess what wins? Delete shopping apps. Make your investment account visible. Put friction in front of bad choices and ease behind good ones. Third, track awareness, not perfection. You don't need a perfect budget. You need feedback. Awareness alone changes behavior. Studies show that people who track spending reduce unnecessary expenses by up to 15% without trying. And here's the deeper point. Lifestyle design isn't about deprivation. It's about alignment. You're not saying no to spending forever. You're saying no now, so future you has options. Because the truth is, wealth isn't built in dramatic moments. It's built in quiet ones. In the grocery store, on payday, on random Tuesdays when no one is watching. This is where it gets really interesting. Once you've made enough good financial decisions, momentum kicks in. Compounding doesn't just apply to money. It applies to behavior. Good choices stack. Confidence grows. Stress drops. Clarity increases. And eventually you look back and realize your life feels easier. Not because you got lucky, but because you were intentional early. Here's the uncomfortable truth, and I'm saying this with respect. If you don't consciously choose your first 1,000 financial decisions, they will be chosen for you. By habits, by culture, by comfort. But if you take control now, even imperfectly, you're shaping the next 30 years whether you feel ready or not. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, pay attention, not to perfection, to patterns. Notice where your money actually goes. Notice which decisions repeat. Notice which ones move you forward and which keep you stuck. Because the future version of you isn't built by one big break. It's built by the first 1,000 choices you make when no one is clapping. If this video helped you see money differently, hit the like button, subscribe for more conversations like this, and drop a comment telling me one small financial decision you're committing to change this week. Your future isn't waiting on more income. It's waiting on better choices. Starting now.